Now y'all saying a whole lot more than I asked you to say. All right. And destiny is what I believe an area of life where our gifts, our time, and our talent all align. I don't believe success has anything to do with material goods. I believe success is peace. And I believe that when we walk in destiny, we ultimately walk in peace. But why is it so hard for us to own our difference? Can we have an honest moment? Difference is painful. Am I right? It's hard to stand out. It's much easier to fit in. I know this. I'm the middle child of 3 boys. Any middle children in the house? Support group, yep. Right? Am I right on who I am and believe if I do that, the industry will conform around me? So what I had to realize was that there is going to be pain associated with owning difference, but that pain will ultimately produce peace. Why? Because as I began to own my difference, so 18 years old, I go to USC, I began to get an internship for Will, and in that internship interview, the young lady asked me, she said, is there anything else you want us to know? Now, I grew up observing Sabbath as a person of faith. I observed the Sabbath. So that meant Friday night sundown, Saturday night sundown, I wouldn't go to games, I wouldn't go to school dances. It was a big part of who I was. And so when she asked me, is there anything else that she wanted me to know, in that moment, I felt compelled to tell her about my difference. But there was danger there. If I tell her that I have a spiritual commitment, is that going to keep me from the opportunity of the internship? And I believe you and I struggle with this dilemma more than we would care to meet. If I'm honest about who I am, what I believe, what I really want, will that keep me from opportunity? Too often, and now I'm gonna get in your business, too often, and I'll come back to our regularly scheduled program in a minute, too often when it comes to friendships and when it comes to dating, I'm talking to you, yes I am, too often what happens is we try to become who somebody else wants us to be at the expense of who we really are. May I submit for your consideration, if somebody in your life can't accept you for who you are, maybe they aren't worthy of your acceptance to begin. Makes me different? I'm like, no. We're the same. I watch the same TV shows. I listen to the same music. No, whatever the trend is, I want to fit into. But may I submit for your consideration that we don't need any more copycats of other people that we think are successful. What we really need is you and I to be who we were created to be. And let me tell you something. You may think, and you will be shocked that the person you work for, who is probably, listen, you don't have to say, don't say any amen to this loud. Just say it in your spirit, okay? Okay? All right? Because sometimes you work for somebody and you're like, this person don't understand me at all. They don't get me at all. You know, I'm frustrated. But here's what I want you to know. Don't allow a difficult situation at work to be an excuse not to be who you are. Because, yeah, you can clap on that. See, she clapping because her boss ain't here, so it's cool. Oh, man. Because what I have found is that when we allow ourselves to have excuses to feel good, to live less than who we're capable of being, we don't do ourselves a service, nor do we do the world a service. Here's what I've learned about difference. There was a time when I was confusing my difference and my distinctiveness with others I was in association.
So, from being an intern to being a CEO, thinking about you as that Devon, the middle child.
Yeah, you know, it was.
How did you do that?
It was finding comfort in discomfort. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, in a town that, that I was told, hey, you know, as a person of faith, they'll never embrace you. That actually, I found that wasn't true, but at the same time, it took me probably from the age of 18 to, I would say, that was what, 96? It probably took me about 14 years, about 13, 14 years. I was embracing different parts of it. You know, I was true to who I was and authentic in that, but it really was, you know, it wasn't until after that Karate Kid moment when I really realized, like, I have to find my place in the world. I'm not content with just getting by having a good association with someone else who's found their place.
Right. Right.
I need to find my place.
Right.
And it took me that long to realize it. Because before that, I kind of knew it, but I wasn't living it, per se. Like, I knew it, but I wasn't pursuing it. Let me put it that way, because I was living it in a certain way, because people knew that I was of faith and whatnot. But it wasn't until that Karate Kid moment when I was like, oh, wow, I got to figure out who I am.
Right.
I got to figure out what I'm created to do in a real way, because there was a desire for me for purpose. Like, I've got to work and walk in my purpose. I've got to live my purpose. I've got to do whatever I was created to do. And that is really what motivated me, but it took that long to do it.
I asked that question for a reason, right? Because time, right? Because I feel the younger generation feels like it's been a year, it's been 2 years.
I know.
It's been 5
All y'all
years.
millennials
Who
out
am I
there.
talking to?
Yeah.
Right? It's been 7 years. Whatever your journey is, and that you haven't been able to turn the page, or you haven't been able to get to the next chapter.
Yes.
Right? So everybody has a different story and a different journey and a path to follow. I would imagine along the way in those 14 years, there may have been some stumbling blocks. Can you talk about failure?
Yeah.
And